Hey there, welcome to OneCast powered by Sterling Bank. And today we are going to be turning the tables around on fraudsters. As you all know, the scam is actually getting much more on a high scale right now in Nigeria. And today we are going to be delving into it. And I'm not actually here alone. I have Ola Yi and Ruth. I really need to get to pronounce your surname properly. I think Ruth Osibo and Ola Yi Aberto. And I'm sure both of them are actually in the line of finance. And I think I would like to just give a touch, a brief of what they are into. So I think I'll start with Ola Yi Aberto, with over decades of expertise in customer experience and, exercise and head of customer care at Sterling. So I'm sure she's going to be giving us, some more insights on the nitty-gritties and things that we do not even know about. And anyways, welcome on board.
Thank you.
Okay, and then on my other side, I still have, Ruth Osibo. Yes, as you can see, Ruth Osibo is a certified financial education instructor. And I'm expecting more of insights on, like opening, shedding more lights onto what we need to know and what we need to start practicing when it comes to scams in Nigerian banks. So guys, how are you doing?
I'm great, glad to be here.
Okay, so let's get to meet you properly. Like, what's going on? I like your smile.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. As I said, I'm so excited we get to talk about personal finance and how we as Nigerians can elevate our status, elevate the quality of our lives through the right financial personal finance practices. And so that's why I'm glad that we're having this conversation. This kind of conversation needs to keep happening, because a lot of times in schools we're taught about every other thing aside from how to manage our finances effectively. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Yemi, talk to us. Let's get to know you.
My name is Ola Yi Aberto. I head customer care for Sterling Bank, like you mentioned. I'm glad to be here as well and to have both of you here. I'm really pumped. It's a very vital topic today in Nigeria to have conversations around fraudsters, scammers, and also educate consumers and general public on how they can manage their finances. Ruth is an expert on that, and most importantly, how they can protect and safeguard their finances against theft, scammers, all of that. There are lots of them today in the system, and it's good to educate our customers so they're well aware of how to protect themselves.
Fantastic. In terms of protecting your finances, I think I'll have to go to the educator right here, and which is Ruth. Now, can you recall a moment when a scam almost, had you fooled, and what was the giveaway that saved you?
Okay, so everywhere, every other day, new apps come in place and they promise you 100% returns. I always say this: if it's too good to be true, it's really too good to be true. And we hear and we've seen in the newspaper how people took people's money, general public's money, and they went to another country and started new lives. Every time somebody comes with a proposition that doesn't align with reality, you need to take a step back. If this person could get this much money, why did they come to meet me? Right, except is in peculiar cases where there are specific projects with VCs and all of that. Anything that is too good to be true, first thing is too good to be true. And before you invest, make your research, do your research. Don't just say because somebody came to tell me, because a lot of MLL, multi-level marketing schemes are out there with the Ponzi scheme, where somebody tells you, okay, 100%, you need to do your research. What's the name of the company? Who are the people backing the company? What is their past precedents? Information and who has used their services. For the fact that they pay you the first time might be a way to make you come back again. But one thing about money is that you have to ensure that, do your due diligence. What product is backing the service that they're giving? So you have a nice platform, you have all these things that you say you're going to do, but really, what are you doing? A lot of times it's them taking money from Peter to pay Paul. So they get you in the system, give you a bit of lies, and you're like, wow, this is the best thing since the light was invented. And you find out that there's really no product backing it. So you need to do research. You need to ask around. But another thing to note is for past performance, it's not always a assurance of future performance. So yes, you might do your research and find out that it's great and all of that, but it doesn't necessarily mean because they've done well in the past, they're going to do well in the future. So first things first, anything that seems too good to be true is too good to be true. Another way to safeguard yourself is something called asset diversification. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. So in case one basket drops, the other one is there to secure you. And that's why I always tell people, now moving to the principles for saving and building wealth. For example, don't start investing except you have an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? It basically says you have savings or in a high yield interest account that you can access within 24 hours if anything happens to you, as it says, emergency. A practical example, if I spend 100,000 naira every month, my emergency fund should not be less than 300,000. It's a minimum of 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Some people go as far as 12 months. When you have an emergency fund, it's a buffer against you breaking your investment on time. You see things like distress sale, or you want to do something. If you have an emergency fund, a lot of times you're able to build an emergency fund, then move on to the next goal of investing. So I think I'll stop here for now. Thank you.
Okay, now I think I get your point in terms of anything that is too good to be true is too good to be true. There is no point trying to be dilly-dallying about it. So if I'm to move on ahead now, in terms of gauging the tide of scams, in Nigeria versus the global context. Now, you made mention of something earlier about scams interbank, moving money from one bank to the other in terms of not being open with it, like it's not a true money, but moving money from another bank to another, like from local banks to international banks. Like I think I saw something that has to do with a client trying to maneuver some kind of account details and then move the money into a Swiss bank, and then the bank was actually traced. And is there anything that backs such in Nigerian bank?
So you're asking about anti-money laundering policies. So anti-money laundering policies, every bank has they're setting alerts, they're fraud alerts when you do a transaction limit above the specified limit. There are some alerts that are triggered that your compliance unit is going to definitely be aware of, and they can do further investigation in terms of moving money to other countries. So yes, the banking system, like we know, is one of the tools that fraudsters try to look for the loopholes to carry out their transaction. So it's normal. But when you have systems in place, when you have compliance in place, you have fraud alert systems in place, they help to check it in terms of, for example, a customer that has been doing 1,000 for the past 10 years, all of a sudden puts 10 million naira in an account. Ideally, your fraud system is going to pick it up, especially and that triggers a second level KYC. So that means the relationship manager goes and says, "Oh, sir, how you doing? What's happening? What has changed?" And if you cannot see a notable change in terms of maybe the business venture they've done, maybe picking up or something like that, you begin to suspect that maybe there's something more than there is to, and you go through the necessary policies set by the bank. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ruth. Switching to Yemi, you are into customer, relation, and if you're to back that up, I know you are more of you connect with customers more and more. What are the relevant complaints that you've heard, and then how have you been able to put some certain solutions in place?
Thank you very much. Okay, so for customers, as a financial institution, backed also by regulations, we're expected to protect our customers via consumer protection. So typically, every business is supposed to share data, information with customers to enlighten and educate them on what is happening in the fraud scene, and then instances, to protect themselves from fraud. Within the customer service space, we get customers reach out to us for so many different reasons. You could have a customer reach out to say that I need you to restrict my account. And you ask why, and he says, gives an example and says, someone just called me now and said he's Mr. Tony from your bank, and that is why oftentimes when we engage customers via email, via call, communication, via social media platforms as well, we always tell customers that the bank will not request you to share your PIN, your transaction PIN or your mobile application. We will not ask you for OTPs. We do not send OTPs to you and request those OTPs to be sent back to us. We will not engage you and request for personal information like your username, your password. We wouldn't do that. So customers are frequently engaged and asked not to share personal information with fraudsters. Typically, you'd assume that you should know first of the recipient, the beneficiary account details, they do not match with your brother's. So we would assume that a customer would engage the brother to say, you requested for 100,000 naira to be sent to this account, for example. You said it was urgent and your mobile app wasn't working, but sometimes, these scammers, they look for loopholes. I've seen instances where they say, I'm in the hospital, I can't talk, they just took me in now, please send it. So for the love of your brother, for example, you immediately send it without really thinking about if that was your brother. Other instances we've had, you have a customer that would reach out to say that someone reached out to me and said the government is giving out. The COVID period, for example, we had so many instances where people reach out and say, I got a text message from, and it's easy to, engage businesses. I can send you a text. All I have to do is to include the name of a business, and then it comes to your mobile phone, depicting the business brand. And then they say, we got a text from my bank saying the government has given them some funds to share to their customers. So they require this information for us to. They require this information. We share it with them, and then we get credited. We're not aware of those conversations, but we know that most of those transactions, the customers come back and say, I had an unauthorized debit, help me. And then when we engage, we have a fraud team, we engage, and then we trace these funds have already, customer has already been debited, beneficiary has already withdrawn the funds, so we have typical cases like that where customers they action these requests because they do not pay attention to the education provided by the business. Other times, the business might not have educated well enough, reiterated, and have been frequent with the communication for every cadre of customer to have clear understanding. Sometimes you send these communications via emails, but Mr. Rafu, who is your janitor or the person at your gate man, your security guard, the guy that sells meat to you at the market, he doesn't read his emails. So every business has to take into consideration the kind of customers that they have and decide on the different interaction channels to engage them on to pass on the message about scam.
I think I like that. There's a form of dissemination of information to the grassroots, which is actually key factor on this. But to actually help in curbing this, is there any form of regulatory measure in collaborating with other financial institutions, like maybe Bank A and Bank B plus Bank C? Actually, not because I'm actually banking with Sterling, then my money mistakenly been moved to another bank. Is there a form of banking relationship between? Maybe you should shed more light to that, Ruth, over to you.
Okay, so I'll give a scenario. My father-in-law got a call and the same thing happened to him, and he was asked to move some money out of his account. So what I did was to provide that information to the bank, his bank, and the recipient bank. And they were able to work together to identify that account was fraudulent, and they put like a hold on the account and contacted their customer. They were able to actually refund his money. So this is a clear scenario of banks working together to ensure that even though transactions might happen like this, they work together to ensure that the victims get a refund of their money.
Yeah, if I'm to go back to your point, Yemi, you're talking about how to reach out and getting more information out to the grassroots. Now, talking about the technical analysis of this in terms of, the technical advancement and risk. What form of provision has been made available for the grassroots that can literally get instant response? Like maybe, some of them might be saying that, the bank is quite far from them to get to, and then maybe giving a phone call, and they might not even know. But what is the system? What kind of system that is being arranged now from your own perspective?
Okay, so based off of the conversation we just had, when you talk about the grassroots, please trust me, they do not care about technology. These are not educated people. So you don't want to begin to tell them how they can use technology. You have to engage people with what they are conversant with and what they know well. So I give you an example. Someone called me, the person made a mistake and called me the other day and said, hello, this is your uncle. And I was like, my uncle from where? And then he kept saying your uncle, and then he was about to start the conversation, but I just said, my uncle from where? Do you understand? You know your uncle now. I say, oh God, I don't know my uncle. Which one are you? Do you understand what I'm saying? Technology, from the perspective of technology, I'll say that it's up to the business, the information security of the business to do that back end and protect all kinds of customers. Now, for the well-educated ones, yes, technology can help them. They are well aware of the password, the PIN, the phishing emails, conversations that can happen. But I would suggest, now, I said it earlier, I'm very passionate about customers. I said it earlier, if you want to engage the layman, even if he's your carpenter or an artisan, the meat seller, it's okay for a business to go to the market. Say it in pidgin English. There's nothing wrong with that. Hello, madam. Oh, if anybody call you, say they want your PIN, no give them. Oh, easy breezy. That person, I won't go there. I won't go to a market with an accent and say, Iyabeji, please, if anyone engages you and requests for your PIN, please note that, no, I wouldn't do that. I'll say, Iyabeji, that money where they make for these tomatoes, not give anybody your bank, no go. You see this bank, you see our cloth, we know they call people collect PIN. Do you understand? So for technological advancement, yes, the bank, information security, they can handle back end and protect. Regulatory bodies also have requirements and expectations of every financial institution of the level of protection they provide to their customers. But when it comes to the layman on the street, I still think that campaigns, physical campaigns, because all the mediums for technology, they are not available to that. They do not have access to this, to DSTV and all of those things. But if you come to them, one, you're creating a relationship. My bank came to meet me today in the market and they tell me make I not give anybody my PIN. It's easy for them. They understand. You can even share contacts with them. You can have things. You have to engage those people one-on-one and come down to the level, speak the language that they understand, and you can still pass the message across if you do that. That's my perspective.
I think I like that, talking about the one-on-one campaign, going down there and letting them know, apart from those that actually receive emails. Okay, if I'm to throw that to you, Ruth, what would you have to say to that?
I agree with what Yemi has said. She was able to say you have to customize messages to suit your segment. So every level requires different engagement. So if I'm doing grassroots, I know I'm doing radio, I'm doing jingles, I'm speaking in pidgin, I'm looking at local dialects depending on the region and the population of the region, if it's Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, whatever the case might be. But there's also something to note that everyone also still has a responsibility, both the institution and the customers. So you too, as a customer, you protect your PIN. Right, you don't share your information with people. So yes, there's campaigns around it. Don't say I trust this person too much. There are cases where family members, friends, you've seen that your guy is staying together in a place and somebody's looking for his PIN, somebody just took it. You also have a duty to protect your information, while the bank also has a duty to educate you and put security systems in place to ensure that your information is protected. I also say a simple tip too, like when people go on some websites, when you see that padlock on the website, it shows that it's encrypted. There's some security features that have been encrypted, so you should use it. But if you go on a platform and you don't see that padlock sign or something, know that platform is not secure to use your card details. Those are some of the things you can know when you're making card transaction.
Online transaction.
Yeah, online transaction.
I think you're talking about the SSL.
Yes.
Okay, so which literally means that if you're logging onto the website, you have to be able to be aware of that.
You just see it. When you see that there's no padlock, they don't use your card details. Yeah.
If it's actually, secured?
Then you're supposed to have the signal that shows it's secure.
Some websites are secured and they're actually scam websites.
I agree.
How do you?
I'm just saying that's a tip. I'm not saying for the fact that you go to every website that has secured domain. No. How do you identify scam websites? So you don't go to use your card on a platform that you don't trust.
Now, how would you identify it? Apart from the SSL, how would you identify it? Is there a form of customer care, like response? Like you give a call, then there's a form of I am here, and then this person is actually responding and representing this particular institution.
So if you're asking me, like you're saying, Sterling, for example, when it's communicating with customers, it's approved on official lines and websites is always being displayed. So if you see, for example, www.sterling.ng, but you go to a different domain that is different, slightly different, you also have to be careful. That's why I said there's a duty of care for everybody involved. Use the approved websites, approved numbers, and if somebody calls you on a non-approved number, it's better you call back the approved line and say, I got a call from someone saying from Sterling. That double check can save you millions, right? I've had someone called me the other day, they said, okay, send your BVN now. And I was just playing with the guy up and down. And I was like, okay, why? And, we just played, wasted the guy's time. But obviously we didn't send it in. Don't send your private information across channel. Even your card number without sending the OTP, don't send it. If you're going to be sending your card details, first 6 digits, last 4 digits. The middle digits, don't send it in. Even if you're sending via mails. These are some of the security features and engagements that you see via email and all of that. Yes.
Okay. Quick one before I'm actually going to be switching a little bit into saving and versus investing. But before I get there, I'll just ask you, Yemi, can you share with us an experience of a kind of scam story that you've been part of to solve? Okay,
I have quite a number. I live for solving scam stories, but like I said, there are so many different ones, from somebody calling the customer to say, we just sent you an OTP, share the OTP back with us. That happens very frequently. And then also from somebody saying, send money to this account. Now, those two are the most prevalent. Recently, the data that we have today speaks to that. Recently, we've had customers reach out to say that I sent money to another account, a bank account, and I didn't know. Now, we know that, and then Ruth mentioned something earlier, there's a great relationship. Financial institutions today, backed up by regulation, the fund recall process amongst all banks now is pretty tight and heavy. So it's important that we also note that. So, but customers, when they reach out, the two prevalent things they talk about is, I sent money to an account I'm not aware of. Let me tell you one funny story. Customers can also have, there's something we call business gone bad. So I tell you, make a shirt for me. That's what I'm saying, that I have all kinds of stories. You come and you say, make a shirt for me. I'm like, okay, I'll make it. And then you pay funds into my Sterling account, for example, and I make a shirt for you. And you tell me, this blue shirt, I wanted pale blue. I'm like, but you said navy blue, and we do this back and forth. And then you're like, I want my money back. Innocently, that customer calls the bank and says, hello, customer care, I sent money to this wrong account. And we engage, so sometimes it's a different bank. So internally, we engage the other bank, and the process for funds recall, our bank engages the other bank engages their beneficiary, gains consent, right? So the beautiful thing is the funds are locked on the account while we await investigation.
Duration.
That's if they were alerted on time to put a locked fund.
Yes.
So if you don't, that's why the first thing is you make sure you tell the bank so they can make that action of locking the funds first. So when they lock it, in cases where they're able to lock it or lock the amount they see there, this conversation and this process can happen. So you tell your bank on time, the bank reaches out to the other bank. If there's funds in the account, they lock it. Where there are no funds, they just still have to reach out to their customers. do you?
I understand. So what if maybe I come through real quick and then I pull the call through about the old situation? How long? What's the time frame?
Okay, you're asking for the time frame. I'll let her continue.
For funds recall, unfortunately, there's no time limit because there are dependencies. So from the sender, so it's a relationship between the sender, sender's bank, beneficiary's bank. Sometimes even the court is involved. Because if Yemi has an account in sterling and I say, Ruth, I transferred money to Ruth and erroneously in another bank, Ruth's bank would confirm that the funds are there, but they require, by law, they require Ruth's consent before they transfer to my bank, who invariably sends back to me. So until Ruth, the account holder and the other bank says, the money in this account is not my own, right? So if I sold that blue shirt to you, back to our story, and you say you don't want the shirt anymore, you want your money back. If I insist that, no, it was a business we did, you won't get your money back. Because as the beneficiary, I haven't given consent. Yes, it's gone. But if the money is locked in the account, and say, for instance, the beneficiary has not given consent, but the money is there, the sender can go and get a court order. Typically, it takes about 45 working days, get a court order and share with the bank, and then the proceedings starts. It's a pretty long process, yes. But a funds recall, invariably, there's no time limit. There are dependencies. So until every dependency is sorted, you can't get the funds out.
Okay, now as an investor, I feel a little bit comfortable. So, and I feel like, talking about numbers, and let's see, talking about saving and investment, saving versus investment. There's this notion of some part will tell you, I prefer to save for a long time, while some will tell you, no, I don't want to save my money. I just want to invest it. By investing is more like saving and making more money. Now, there is savings accounts, there is current account, there is business account, and I believe savings account is where you save, where you don't really have to get too much of how's it called, like interest, and then the current automatically involves a lot of interest. So now I'm throwing this question to you, Ruth. Savings versus investments, a roadmap to financial growth. What would you say about that? What's your take?
First things first, I believe that savings and investments, they have different purposes. So in simple terms, what do I use a savings account for? One, to build capital, to wait for opportunities. When opportunities come, I can then invest. Two, I use savings as a buffer. Like I said, the emergency funds, to ensure that if anything happens, I don't have to tamper with my investments. So my savings act as that buffer. But every individual has different goals, and that is normal. So for you, sometimes you might say, okay, I want to save. Saving is like you're putting money aside. Investing is like you're putting money to work for you. So when you say, although sometimes you see because of the interest rates in the high yield savings account, you'll be thinking, okay, I'm investing, whatever term works for you. But savings is more or less putting money in a vehicle that is close to very low risk. It's a low risk kind of thing. While most of the time investing has a higher risk and sometimes higher reward. That's really basically the difference for me. And I feel like one is a gateway to the other. So for example, if I save, a practical example, there was this funds I was doing. I was just saving like 5,000, and one day I looked at it was like 500. I could take that 500 and make a financial investment with it. So people should not get discouraged about the amount. They'll be like, how much am I saving? It's not 1,000. I even wanted to do an analysis here, and I did a screenshot to even tell you about the power of like compounding. So this is a scenario that says if you save 25,000 naira and you're getting maybe an interest of 10% per annum for 15 years, and it just keeps growing, you don't touch the money, you let it keep compounding, you have over 14 million naira. And so you have people that have worked for 15 years and it's just 25,000. It's like, what's 25,000 going to do? So that same person says, okay, I want to do 25,000 for 25 years. Guess the difference between those 10 years. You have 73 million naira saved. How many people do you know? How many people do you know that have worked for 25 years, have 73 million naira in their account? And this is as simple. This is 25% with 10%. This is 25,000 with 10% per annum. And then we now switch it up a bit. We say, okay, I put 25,000 naira at the same 10% for 30 years. Guess how much it is? 148 million naira. And this is just to show you that tiny drops of water actually makes a mighty
Sorry, Ruth, I have a quick question there. So I'm a realist, right? So I've been a preacher of save and invest, right? But we're all Nigerians. We're all in this same Nigeria today, right? 90% of people that you meet with every day, they tell you the take home does not take me home. So coming down to savings and investment for clarity, because I don't want us to just have these conversations and say save and invest when you have needs. And these are not wants. I'm not saying I want to buy a red bottom shoes, or I want to buy an iPhone 15 Pro or anything. I want to meet my daily needs. I want to be able to pay my children's tuition. I want to be able to fill my car, pay my rent, power bill, the basics, have food, So where does the wisdom to invest come in? I really want to know, because it's one of my priorities for 2024 to invest more. So I don't know if they're like, okay, if you earn 100K, invest, because I've seen some information like that. If you earn 100K, sort out your needs first, then save second, invest third. So I know priority for everybody. I have to meet my needs. I have to live. I have to survive. I have to meet my needs. So how do we prioritize? Is it needs first, then I invest or I save? Remember, you still have people that will come and say urgent 2K here and there. It's the reality of the life that we're going
And
to
I'm
live.
so happy that you mentioned this, because if reality is that needs, even economics, would always be more than your income. And so you are looking at how do you maximize the limited resources you have to achieve maximum result. So let me tell you something. So I was working for a number of years, but I just found out that I was living like paycheck to paycheck. Like, this is me being very transparent. So one day I was like, you know what? I need to make steps to make it happen. And I didn't go this deep. I had not studied this much about personal finance. The first thing I just did was I made up my mind that before I do anything, I'm going to pay myself first. I didn't have any crazy budget laid out. I didn't know the principles of how you prioritize your budget, segment it into needs, wants, and investment. I just knew that the way I was going, I was paying everybody. I was paying for shoes. I was paying for hair. I was paying for other things. But I was
you
paying
were
myself.
buying stuff. You were not. They were giving
so
you
technically,
return for the stuff you.
Yes, they were giving me return for the stuff I bought, but I wasn't paying. When I say pay yourself now, it's putting yourself in priority, thinking future. Thinking in the next 10 years, where will I see myself? If I don't have this kind of income, what will I be doing? How do I position that in the next 10 years I don't become dependent? So let me tell you the cycle of our lives.
So you're saying we
so
should buy shoes?
No, wait,
I just want to be sure.
No. I'm saying you can buy shoes, but plan for it. Why do you buy, for example, human hair and you pay 10 times? Why do you need to say, why do you take debts to buy clothes that you cannot afford? Why do you buy a Shrebi of 250K?
Why do you even have 10 human hair at the same
Thank
time?
You.
Yeah.
Why you need to say, at some point you have to be real with yourself.
Is it an investment, or is it like, because you need to start asking yourself, is this an investment?
Is it an income generating asset? Why do I have to drive the latest Range Rover? Because my friend bought the rated Range Rover. Because I want to prove to the Nigerian community that I'm a big boy. So when I come into a compound, everybody says I'm alive. The moment you decide, I don't want to live up with the Joneses, I'm going to prioritize my future. Guess what? You have to pay it forward. So sometimes that money that you say you want to keep aside, which is a percentage of your income, you can be looking at, maybe everybody has gone for dinner, hang out with the boys. It's time to declare. You don't go up because you don't want it to come to a turn where you have to pay for everybody. So you now decide that you prioritize per season. And you must know life is in season. We have winter seasons. We have summer seasons. There's seasons you plant. There's seasons you water. All of us start with being dependent. So you come where they take care of you. They do everything. You move to a point where you get to start earning some money. You move to another point. Then you move to retirement age. You need to say, in my hail season, like in the season where I'm able to bring out much value, I must put systems in place. And it means sacrifice. So it means I don't have to chase everything. I don't have to chase my influencer. My influencer is saying, oh, they're wearing Gucci. Do I have to wear Gucci? I can go for an unbranded item, even though I might not look like the coolest kid in the block. But so let me give a practical scenario. There was a lady that had over 10 human hairs. She had all their shayobis, but she didn't even have up to 500,000 in her account, and she had to start taking loan. And you know, one human hair, then like you count 10 human hairs. So how can you be taking a loan of 500,000? I see you going for the most expensive makeup artist to go for a shayobi. It's priorities. Like, it's you telling yourself, what do I want out of life? And I'm going to prioritize. And I always tell people this thing: your money is seed and bread. When your money is seed, it means you plant it. There's a portion you eat. Black tax would happen. But when you have prioritized and planned and say, okay, every month I know I'm going to get black tax. If I've exceeded this amount, I am not exceeding. You wait till next month. So if I'm giving, like, let's say I have 10 people to give black tax and everybody's crying like, with their super stories and everything, I prioritize, okay, which one is mostly life and death? I give you. The other ones, I'll say, maybe till next month. You must be willing to say no. Yeah.
All right. Talking about savings and planning and, investment and all, there is this automatic saving, I think, application. While you're giving the advice of one person should save, what if I cannot save on my own?
Fantastic.
Like, I save now. Like, for someone like me now, I've tried to save up, some certain amount of money, and then after saving it,
something comes up.
Yes.
And
I don't
happens.
go. There's a way I run it personally. Like, I have a particular account that
no ATM.
I cannot no ATM, and I cannot withdraw it unless I happen to go to the bank myself. But now, situations will come now. After about 4 or 5 months, you've been able to stack up, and then suddenly you just storm in there and then pick it all up. Now, is there any form of a system that you can like start saving or automatically withdrawing from my personal account into that savings account, and then for a period of time that can actually help customers?
Okay, so we have one bank. You can do standing instructions. If you know you're not going to be disciplined enough, you need to put systems that help you set your goals. I always say goals without systems is like you're just setting goals, because those systems help you achieve your goals. As simple as saying every month a standing instruction to debit my account to 20,000 and move it to this account that doesn't have, and people now say, okay, you have access to that account. Your goals must be so audacious that you're willing to make sacrifices. You must really believe your goals to say, I need to make the sacrifices. And so having an automated alert helps. Sometimes you might set a reminder. Sometimes having an accountability partner. So for example, I started a savings challenge where people that had never saved before, we got together and I said, you know what, let's have a challenge where everybody saves like $500 and $1,000. And every month, at the end of the month, we're tracking ourselves, and they were sending me, it was dollars. So we did Naira first. We did Naira.
In Nigerian currency today, I think $100 is now a stamp of 200.
Let's not go there.
Don't for it. So what we did was, and every month you get, okay, can I have your receipts? One we were able to use and we're monitoring it. Do you believe that in less than 6 months, these were people that had not saved before, we're like a group of like 20, we had over 10 million Naira saved. I'm not kidding you.
Sir,
and this is
but on this system there is a form of extra charges, right?
Okay, so for standing instruction, I don't think there's any charge on it. But the savings challenge I did, like I was saying that there are different systems. There's the system using an app. There's accountability partner. That's the challenge I spoke about. And there's alert. You sending a reminder on your phone that says, today is the day
to push this money.
Yes, you could use anything that works for you. Just have to find it. Some people don't like group stuff. It's fine.
Yeah, I was going to mention, because when you were talking about group stuff, I've been burnt with this group thing you're talking about. When you were talking about the savings challenge, I was going to ask you, please, this savings challenge you're talking about in our local palette, I hope it's not a job.
I didn't do Ajo. No, it's not Ajo. Ajo is different.
Okay,
Ajo is a system where everybody gives money to one person. No.
Yeah.
The way we did it was everybody had
each person per month, yeah?
Everybody had their separate accounts, and there was a tracking and monitoring system where you screenshot it and say.
So just to share evidence.
Yeah, and it wasn't done on the group. It was done like by the admin, which was me. So in case you don't want people to see how much you have in your account in the whole group, so I was able to do that. And let's 6-7 months, we're able to see that it was possible if you set your mind to it. It's possible. And someone was like, black tax. I said, no, with black tax, you see, your money is seed and bread. If I give you my seed, I cannot produce a tree that produces a forest. So you need to give me the opportunity to produce that tree. So let me give you what I can give you so that we all have a forest tomorrow and we can benefit from it.
They should give you space to grow.
Yeah, you do what you can and you plan for it. Like, and last you mentioned something about budgeting. So there are different rules, but there's the 50-30-20 rule that talks about 50% your needs, 30% your wants, ashwabi, whatever you want to do, and 20% your investment, savings, and retirement. However, if your earning capacity is more and you can do more savings, please by all means do it. You can adjust the percentages. There's also two things. If you check your budget and you find out that your income is more than your expenses, you're right that your expense is more than your income, and for
Which
your
is typical of every Nigerian today.
that's
by the
why
way.
for your needs is two things. Either you're living with, so let me give you an example. Do you know that there's a rule of thumb that says if your first 3 months salary cannot pay for your rent,
Don't
actually
move into that kind of house.
you
Yes,
actually cannot
yes.
afford that house. A lot of us Nigerians, if you look at it, we're very, I won't use the word materialistic, but we like life.
Of course.
That's how we are. That's our
is what it
signature.
is.
It is what it is. So why will you drive a Benz and be asking for urgent 2K for fuel?
You dey whine me.
Like,
That's what you see now.
so why do you do this kind of things? So
Yeah.
it gets to a point where you have to be real with yourself and say, if it's not going to be, why do you take debt for items that are not asset appreciating? So if I'm going to take a debt, there must be a reason. It must be able to do something for either my brand image, or it must find a way to pay me back. Like,
There must be a form of return.
yeah, so okay, I said, okay, my needs are too much, like I have bills to pay. Why did you take 10 loans on all? You didn't need to take 10 loans on the latest flat screen TV, the one that turns, and
That's
those
a bad
fizzy.
business. That's a bad
people
investment.
Like, you know what?
Except
I like
the TV, you
football.
have movie nights in your house where people pay to come watch movies, and then you get a
people are like, you
return.
know what? I like watching football, high definition. Like, I like the way it circles and stuff like that. You need to be like, I have a TV screen that works. Basically, you're out of the house 5 days a week on the only weekends you have. So why do you have to pay for a TV you cannot afford? A lot of Nigerians really cannot afford what we pay for. That's the truth. If you look at your line items on your budget, you'll be shocked at what you're spending money on. Gym that you're not going for, but you pay every year. Subscriptions for so many things that you should have unsubscribed. Like, there are a lot of loopholes where we can see money leakages.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been having conversations with Ruth Osibo, who is a certified financial education instructor. And as you can hear that, you already know how to put your money in place, how to budget yourself, how to budget your finances, and getting to know what is much more important in terms of prioritizing your I call it Excel. So, and thank you very much. And of course, Ola Yi, who has decade of customer relation and understand the nitty-gritty of customers. So she's shared a lot of information with us on how you can be much more aware of what to do and what not to do when it comes to your numbers and your security. Quite much more important with your money. So I am Ayo Dada, and of course, until next time, remember, your money is quite much more important to you. It's still OneCast, powered by Sterling Bank.